And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Josh Thompson and I, John McCarthy, again for another rendition of Weighing In. You can catch us on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and a host of other podcasting platforms. We are here for you. We are glad that you are tuning in to listen to what we think about the world of MMA and what is going on. Keep on giving us the thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. All of that is important. We appreciate every one of you. If you want to be part of the Weighing In team and get a t-shirt, we've got all kinds of t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. Go to that, hit the weighing or type in Weighing In. Look at that beautiful picture. It's got both Josh and I. Hit that sucker and 4 fantastic shirts will come up. Pick one of those and buy it. And still, I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure. Our birthday's pretty much over for the month. We had a promo code. You can try the promo code of birthday for 20% off. Not sure in August if that's going to work since it's August 1st. But Joshua, what is going on, my brother?
I will tell you what's going on. There is a photo floating around of Hans and Chael on a motorcycle.
I love that.
Dumb
thing.
and Dumber, baby. Dumb and Dumber style. It looks amazing.
That is, dude, that photo says it all.
It's so good. It's so
first
good.
off, Hans has got his hat on back. Hans is looking cool. Hans is there. And then there's my boy Chael. I don't know. I don't know. Good. I don't know why he is on the only reason you can be on the back of another man's motorcycle, I hate to say it, but sitting bitch, is your wife is in the hospital. She's giving birth. I don't know, something to that. And it's the only way that you can get there. Other than that, either walk, run, hitchhike. I don't care. You do not get on the back. And then that helmet that he's wearing, that is fantastic. You talk about Dumb and Dumber. That is an absolute picture that could be in that movie.
So good.
I don't know why you were on the back of that motorcycle, brother, but I'm sorry.
You told me
it was just bad.
You told me earlier, you were saying, you've seen that before though, but it was with Matt Hughes and BJ Penn.
Oh, dude, BJ Penn was on the back of a motorcycle with Matt Hughes one time. I go, what in the world is BJ doing? You know, but hey, it's I've been riding motorcycles since I was a kid, man. I've been riding street bikes since I was 16, and I've had one my entire life. And you will never ever see me on the back of another man's motorcycle. I'm sorry. Not gonna happen.
I could just see BJ on the back of Matt Hughes' motorcycle, probably in his slippers. He's got board shorts on and
he did have board shorts on. I do think he had thongs on.
I think he had slippers on. Yeah, it's so funny. Oh man. That's a great.
We got to show that picture if we can. Podcast Dave, try to pull that picture up.
We'll edit.
It's awesome.
We'll put that picture in the. Have Dave put in there. That's so funny though. That's great.
The look on Chael's face because he's holding on. He's got the look like I don't want to be here.
Yeah,
which is exactly the way he should be thinking, but he's there.
Yeah, it's good though. It's funny. Good stuff. All right. Should we get into the news first, or should we get into the fight card first?
Let's get into the fight card, and then we'll get into the news.
All right, let's get into the fight card.
What'd you think?
Well, you didn't know, and I don't know, but why was it 3 rounds? We both, neither one of us really know why they changed it.
I do not know the official reason that they came up with, because normally a UFC main event they want to put on a 5-round fight, but this one's been known as 3 rounds for a little while.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
It's interesting. I'm good thing he didn't need 3 rounds to get him out of there, but
he did.
Into the 3rd round.
He's in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. He didn't need 5. I should have said he didn't need 5 rounds.
There you go. Okay.
He didn't need 5 rounds to get him out of there.
Derek looked good.
Yeah.
Controlled. That's, how many times have we talked about Derek Brunson and just overextending, out of control, running forward, trying to do damage. He did it against Whitaker. He did it against a bunch of guys. You look and go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And now that he's with Sanford MMA and they're getting a little bit into his head, more controlled, more focused, better as far as being a complete fighter. He did a good job with his takedowns, his little foot sweeps and everything that he was doing. Everything was not a whole lot of energy out of him, but it was effective. It got the fight where he wanted. He landed elbows. Even when, Edmund got back to his feet, he took some big shots, but he ate them well, just gathered himself, took a step back, came back at him. Very impressive performance. And it was really the difference of the veteran fighter in Derek Brunson, who's 36 years of age, going against a young Edmund Shahbazyan. I've known Edmund for a long time. He's a good fighter. He's going to be a really good fighter. But sometimes those veterans have little tricks that you're not ready for. You think you are. You think you've learned them. But when it's in the middle of the fight, they pull you into these little things and you end up gassing because you're trying to work a little harder, trying to keep up with certain things. Certain things are catching you off guard. It's making you a little bit more reserved, and so you're pressing a little bit more. Even if you're not going forward, you're pressing as far as just trying to be cautious of everything, careful. It was still a good performance by Edmund, but you saw the difference of that veteran fighter who's been in that cage so many times and the young guy who was smoking everybody, but when he couldn't smoke someone, it was a little bit different story. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw. I saw I don't want to say inexperience, but it was an experience. You're right. It was the inexperience of being in the main event and being against someone who is, fought the who's who in MMA. I mean, he's fought such really good guys. But he's been through the storm of everyone. Sometimes he's won, sometimes he's lost. But he's shaped himself now, like you said, with fighting a slower first round pace, not blowing himself out, and then like all of a sudden trying to like get his win the next 2, 3, 4 rounds. Like he looked a lot more like a matured fighter tonight. Derek Brunson did. Shahbazyan just needs more time. And what is he, 22?
Yeah, 22.
He's a baby. Like, I mean,
he is.
He's a baby. So it's like when you come down to it, I thought he looked good in the first round. But then Derek did. I think this is really what the game plan was for them to cruise the first round, let's see what Shahbazyan had, try to push him, press him, maybe press him against the fence, make him work, and then in the second round pick it up a little bit, which he kind of did. And then the second round was just he ran away with it. The pressure of having to defend the takedowns, and Derek just has kind of a lull you to sleep type style. Like today was not normally, but today was like a lull you kind of to sleep a little bit. Lazy kicks, couple little lazy jabs, couple little lazy straight lefts. But then all of a sudden, boom, boom, explosiveness and a double leg, lift you in the air and slam you on your head. You're like, all right, what happened? Like, how did I end up here a second ago? And there was a guy a long time ago used to kind of do that to people. Was Hermes Franca. He would just lull you to sleep, and then big punches. Next, you're sitting, face down, ass up on the canvas, and so, but that style I think is probably going to end up working better for him because he just learns how to pace himself and uses explosiveness when he needs to. But I thought, definitely what you saw is what I saw was the inexperience of Shahbazyan and fighting a top level guy and the little tricks of the trade that the veterans have. And he was able to use that. And it was just the pressure. It was the punch, drop down on the legs. Couldn't get it, make him work, come up with elbows, back to punching, back down when Shahbazyan wanted to throw. That kind of setups, I mean, those things, they drive young fighters crazy because they don't know what to do. Do I fight? Do I try and get off? Do I start stuff to take down? What do I do? There's a lot of things that go through their mind during that time, and the whole time they're getting tired.
Yep. Well, and also it's that there's an added pressure that comes with as you get into you're on the main card. Now you're the main event. You're the one carrying the show. And I think you saw that pressure actually get, because there's no doubt that Shahbazyan's in condition. He's in shape, but he gassed.
Oh yeah.
And he gassed for 2 reasons. Part of it was the pressure, and the way that Derek Brunson was coming at him at times and making him carry his weight at times when they would get into the clinch. And I think the other part was it was just that next step. And, you could describe what it's like to be the main event when you're young, that first time. Tell me there's not pressure. Yeah. There's a ton of pressure, and people just don't realize that you're in shape, but there's an adrenaline dump, and sometimes you'll get past it and sometimes you won't. It'll just make you feel like you're exhausted. So
yeah, I think Derek also is one of those guys that when he gets on top of you, I bet you he just feels real heavy. Yeah, has that heavy hip pressure, heavy wrestling type pressure, just sag on you a little bit. The way his body is built, he looks like he's real thick around the trunk, got thick legs, and like I've wrestled with guys like that, and it's always felt like, you just can't get off the bottom. That's what goes through your minds. Ugh. It's like, every time Dave talks, I just go, ugh. It's like that. It's like that feeling. Like, it's like Dave here having to listen to Dave talk. Ugh, the pressure.
But that was honestly one of the most impressive performances by Derek Brunson. And look at like you said, he's fought the who's who in the middleweight division. He fought Anderson Silva, fought Whitaker, fought Yoel Romero. Look, he was beating Yoel Romero. I was gonna say that fight.
I was gonna say that.
A lot of that fight, he was beating Yoel. So he's been in there with all of the guys that have been in that division. There's very few guys that were in the top of the division that he didn't get to fight. Yeah. But he was doing things at times you look and you go, man, you're just taking too many chances. You're extending, you're giving openings. He didn't really do that at all in this fight. Very composed. Just an outstanding performance. Really impressive at now the age of 36. He's learning more. Yeah. And he's becoming a better fighter.
Yeah. He's been around for a while too, because I remember he was in Strikeforce when I was there at the same time. So a lot of these guys, look, Bobby Green tonight too. Same thing.
Bobby Green looked good.
Bobby Green looked really good.
Bobby Green looked good.
Yeah. I mean, I saw his last fight against Clay Guida I watched, and I was like, yeah, you look, you're good. I feel like he's coming to his own, and he has. I mean, he has been. He just never really. I think he's been on the bad end of some decisions, and he's just one of those fighters. I think what happens is the whole talking to the fighter sometimes can work for you when in the judge's eyes, and then talking to the fighter, I think sometimes can work against you in the judge's eyes. Because it depends on which judges you get. If you're like, oh, that didn't land, the judge is probably thinking to myself, that shit landed. That shit hurt you.
I can guarantee you, man, if your opponent throws a shot and it touches you, and then you start talking like that didn't hurt, you start shaking your head, the judge is going, yep, that's why you're acknowledging it. It hurt. You can't do it. There's things that you got to get past. Yeah. And you don't have to tell, your opponent, oh, that didn't hurt. Yeah. Just throw a punch back and punch him in the face. That's your way of saying that didn't hurt. So.
He did that a little bit tonight, but he was on the upper end of landing this stuff. Sorry.
Oh, he was way ahead. And I love Lando. He is he's talented, man. He's so fluid in transitioning from one element to the next. It just he was getting hit with the way heavier shots throughout the fight. And it just started to take a toll and slow him down some. But he was in it the whole time. And he's a good fighter.
I love watching him fight. He's fun to watch fight. And I love watching Bobby Green fight also. I mean, he hasn't got a whole lot of recognition as of recently until these last two fights. I mean, he's good, man. He's fun. He's action-packed. He never stops. He's just fun. He's fun to watch him fight and to be thinking it's been years and years he's been doing this, and he's getting better and better. He's getting better. I enjoy watching him fight. I mean, it's a big step up, I think, for him. Not a step up in competition, but I'm saying the next step for him would be getting into that next echelon of guys, for him to fight.
I think one of the big things that was a big step up for Bobby is he's fighting. Yeah, he's not, his career, man, he's got a lot of holes in it where he wasn't fighting. Yeah. And some of it's due to injury stuff. And he even said, he broke his hand, I guess, and then still took this fight. But you've got to fight, man. You got to be out there. You got to have people seeing you and stuff. And when he's fighting, he's fun to watch. He's good. You know, he always comes to, you know, kind of reminds me of a smaller version of Mo Lawal. Mo Lawal, you know, just the way they kind of go through things, the motions, the way they do things, keeping their hands down sometimes when you're going, put your hands up, God dang it. But I really enjoy, but I've watched Bobby since the beginning of his career. In fact, one of Bobby's, I think it was either his first or second fight, was against a guy that was fighting out of my gym, and didn't know who Bobby was, and man, he tore my guy up in 3 rounds, man. And it was like, he was all over him. He was, man, he was just, it was like peanut butter stuck to toast, man. You were not getting him off. And back then he was wrestling a lot. Wasn't punching a lot, but we saw it in him then. We said, man, that kid's going to be good. It's tough.
Yeah, he went through a couple phases where he was bouncing. He was trying to find gyms and homes and stuff because he was supposed to come to AKA right before I fought him. I fought him. It was funny because like 3 weeks before I was supposed to fight Michael Johnson, and 3 weeks before DC's like, "Hey, do you mind if Bobby Green comes to train?" He's like, "You know, you guys are in the same weight class." I was like, "I don't give a shit. I don't care." And then Michael Johnson pulled out of the fight, and he was supposed to come, and he was like trying to get his stuff all together to come. He's like, "Yeah, I'll be there. You know, try and get there." And then all of a sudden, they're like, "Hey, you're gonna be fighting Bobby because Michael pulled out." I was like, DC, really? This is what it's coming down to? Come on, bro.
DC setting you up, man.
No, but I mean, you know, he's good. He's talented. He seems a lot faster now. Like speed wise, he seems faster. When I fought him, he didn't seem fast. He's fast. Like he's fast. He's got good, quick movements. You know, even though his hands are down, he's a pretty good defensive fighter. He does make sure that his hands are up, like he's blocking. He does a good job. I honestly, I'm excited to see him grow. I want to see where he goes. You know, I mean, I want to see him be more on the main stage because he is fun to watch. I mean, I'm intrigued now after his last 2 fights on I thought he did really well against Clay, and then I thought he had a dominant performance tonight. And I think if he, like you said, if he stays active, you know, I think it's going to be Scott. I think he's got a good chance to make it into that top 10, top 5, whatever it is, you know, get in there. So make a little run, you know. I'm excited to see him fight again.
Yeah, me too.
Let's talk about the failures of the Scottish people.
Oh,
and
sorry, Dave.
And Dave is one of them failures. But I mean, let's go on to no. I feel really bad because I actually had her. I thought she was winning the fight up until that moment. It was close. It wasn't a lot.
You know, it's hard to say who's actually winning that fight at that time, but she was competitive in the fight, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Calderwood wanted to go to the ground with Maia.
Interesting.
She took her down. That was her takedown. You know, and it was like she's had some success on the ground against some other ladies, but you're looking and you're going, hey, Maia's good on the ground. She's got, you know, serious skills down there. So you better be able to block what she does and start beating her up on the ground. You're probably not going to submit her. So you've got to do damage from the top position. So, you know, it was, in my opinion, a tactical error.
Yeah.
One that she should have tried to keep it on the feet. But, you know, then again, I don't know what she's feeling with the, you know, the punching power of Jennifer and stuff. I didn't think that anything really hurt Joanna, but JoJo, you know, she's a good fighter. She just sometimes she's got that, she makes a technical error in the fight and leads to her downfall. And this one did. It was a beautifully executed armbar. You know, she tried to defend it. You saw what she did, but as soon as she brought the knee up on the face, which is great, but that helps when you have a balance point like the fence, keep you from rolling over. But as soon as you saw her release her hand and put her other hand down to the mat, to try to post, it was like, that's not a good thing right there. And that's, you know, that was basically close to the end of the fight.
Yeah, she had a chance though too to drive her head up over Maia's leg and drive her back over the leg as well to trap that arm, so the armbar would have been non-existent. And she didn't. I don't know what she did. I'm trying to remember back. She had her hands locked and had the elbow over the thigh. And so all she had to do was like kind of drive her head up and over over the leg and trap the leg between her body and the ground.
But she wanted to maintain position on top of her with pressure.
Yeah, but she didn't. Yeah,
I know.
It's just one of those things. It's one of those fights. I mean, Dave here was heartbroken. He went home specifically to watch that fight. I mean, yeah, fights like that, it happens. I mean, not just that fights like that. I'm saying just sometimes brain farts happen. You made a mistake, and
well, I will tell you the one thing that I really like. I said that she's made some technical errors in the past. That was way in the past.
mm-hmm.
Ever since she's been training at Syndicate with John Wood,
Mm-hmm.
I thought she's been a much better fighter and has gotten to the point where she was going to get the title shot.
Yeah.
So this is the first time since she's been training at Syndicate and having John as her trainer. This is the first time I've seen her slip back into that technical mistake that leads to her downfall. But it can happen to anyone. It's easy for me to sit here and nitpick. She was going for it. You got to give her credit. She was trying to take the fight to Jennifer. It was just a mistake that led to the point where checkmate.
Here's the only thing. I really like when you're talking about this division, because they're all in Shevchenko's division. I don't think it really matters.
It doesn't matter.
Like we're
just telling you now.
Yeah.
She is head and shoulders now above everyone. That doesn't mean that won't change, but at this moment, she is way ahead of everybody else in that weight class.
Yeah, it's not even close. She's
phenomenal.
Yeah, that's sad too, because it's like I'd like to see her get a little bit of competition, but I feel like the only competition she has is in the weight class above. But I mean, I think she could be, if Amanda Nunes wasn't there anymore, she'd be the champion of that weight class.
She'd be the champion of the bantamweight.
In the bantamweights, yeah. So
I agree.
She is nasty good.
Oh, dude,
I can't even talk.
You talk about technically, and the coming from that striking background that she has, man. Now you can tell that first off, she's smart and she's athletic because her ground game is freaking good, dude. Mm-hmm. She dominates people on the ground. She's so technically good in the stand-up. I don't see anybody that they have that can stay with her in a 5-round fight in the flyweight division.
Does it kind of make it interesting though, since Joanna even though Joanna has lost to her, that it would it'd be kind of interesting to see Weili Zhang fight her?
Oh yeah.
To see Weili and Shevchenko fight at 125.
But I don't think
she would win.
Going to win that fight.
I don't say she's going to win, but I mean it does, because Joanna's speed and she's got power. I'm not saying she doesn't. John a little hesitant to say that she hasn't, but she's got some crack. I think she has some crack. But Weili's got some crack. She's got some power, and she's kind of that bulldog. She'll just walk you down and try and put pressure. She's not gonna do that to Shevchenko, but
Shevchenko will pick her apart.
But if she gets hit by her, if Weili hits Shevchenko, there could make interest. It could be interesting.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you're not a believer.
Come on, look.
I'm really just fucking stirring the pot.
Shevchenko has gone 8 rounds with Amanda Nunes, who I will say, hey, she's got some pop.
Yeah,
Amanda
just a little.
Never got rid of her.
Just a little bit
just
of pop.
A little. So just a little bit of pop.
As I like to say, she's got dogs in those hands. She's nasty. But I mean, look, I'm just trying to give her someone to fight, you guys, because I think Weili Zhang would do. I think she'd probably end up being the number 1 or number 2 contender if she went to 125.
Oh, I agree.
I'd like to see her fight someone like Jessica Ai or somebody in that category there, in Calderwood era. I mean, it would be fun to see. I think that 125 or that 115 pound division is good, and just Shevchenko's got no one to fight, man. That sucks.
I think it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure they're going to put it together. Hopefully they do. But Rose against Weili, come on, that's a fun fight. That's a fun fight.
I heard
that's
they're going to do fight.
They should.
But then we got to wait for her. She's not here, right? In the States. She's trains over there.
No, she's in China.
She's in China. So I don't know. I mean, how long do you hold out until you strip her, though, if she can't come over?
Oh, man, you can't.
But if she can't come for over a year, what do you do?
Fine. Do your little interim thing.
Okay.
But you cannot strip somebody of a title when it's not their fault that they can't fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not saying that I don't agree with you on that.
She can't go to Fight Island?
She maybe could go to Fight Island.
Yeah, she might go to Fight Island.
I don't know. I mean,
it's a little bit difficult when you're looking at the entire thing. I'm sure they could get her to Fight Island, but she does live in a different place in China that maybe, if China's wanting to lock everyone down, it's different getting locked down in China than it is in other places.
Not really. Not that much from here anymore.
There you go. It's kind of the same.
We're figuring it out. All right. What else? What other fights were on there? Hey, you know who impressed me?
Oh, Vicente Luque.
Yeah.
Come on.
Good.
I love watching him fight.
Yeah.
He is so in his space. And I'm going to say a guy that looks like you, good looking guy, but he's willing to take shots to the face.
I'm glad you could
to give his shots. He's not like you pulling his head out, man.
No, I'm not okay with that. No,
man. I love the fact he will step in. He knows he's going to take a shot, but I'm going to take a shot to deliver mine. And he's so technically sound in the way that he tracks people down, the way that he moves his body in to counter shots. I mean, I just love watching him. He's tight. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So
what are you yawning for? You can't be yawning over his performance.
No. I'm not yawning over his performance. I got up really early the last couple of days. And I've been doing 2-a-day workouts, trying to get myself back into shape. The quarantine body's just not coming back as fast as it used to.
It's not only the quarantine body, it's the 43-year-old.
Yeah, it's old, man. It's hard.
Or is it 53? I'm sorry.
It's getting close. 50. It's getting close. 50's getting closer and closer.
Just wanted to make sure. Well, at 75, I have a memory problem.
Yes, I notice things. I notice these things. I always tell the whole production team I got to keep carrying John because he forgets everything.
Everything. Can't remember a damn thing.
Yeah. So Randy Brown, the guy he fought, long, lanky, Anderson style, like body style.
Yep.
Doesn't fight like Anderson at all. But I'm saying I think when you're fighting a guy who's shorter, you got to use the length to your advantage. The guys that are tall like that, it drives me crazy when they crouch down to their opponent's level. And it's like, okay, you just took away one of your benefits, okay, one of your advantages. And then he was trying to use the jab and he was getting kicked with a leg kick. Well, you switch stance. You need to start using that push kick. I think those long guys got to take advice from the other long guys that you see fighting. John Jones uses that side kick to the leg. John, like that push kick to the body. Start using those weapons because that'll start nullifying the leg kicks. That'll start nullifying like other person's big power shots. I don't understand. It didn't seem like he really had a game plan to get past the leg kicks once they started. And now with the calf kick being so prominent in our game, like in the MMA game, I think people are gonna have to start making adjustments on how they do this, because those long lanky legs, I mean, it's gonna be hard to start checking those calf kicks. There's really no way of checking them properly. It's you hope you get it turned out fast enough.
Well, you're definitely not going to check it properly when you are based out.
Yeah,
you are worried about a takedown because you can't move it.
Yeah.
So you've got to either figure, okay, I've got to do certain things to get myself in a position where I don't have to splay my legs out in that fashion. So start working on, if you're worried about getting taken down, then start working on your wrestling defense as far as your pummeling and everything. It's just, you can't leave your leg out there. When you know a guy's going to attack it, you're going to leave it out there anyways. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You got to switch things up because that low calf kick, it's prevalent.
Yep.
It is everywhere now, and everyone's doing it. You don't see guys really taking a lot of damage to the thigh like you used to. It's gone.
Nope. The Jose
every
Aldo,
now and then. The Jose Aldo, the Pat Berries.
Yeah, that's all gone.
Gone. It's easier, quicker, simpler to utilize that low calf kick than it is that kick to the thigh, and it's more effective.
Yep, and there's less chance of them catching your leg if you kick like mid calf or lower. And we've seen the drop foot happen a couple times to certain guys. It happened to Chandler, happened to a couple other guys. I can't recall. Cejudo. It happened to one of the guys that we just had on the last Bellator show. It happened for a couple times. He had a drop foot, but then it recovered. Things like it happen. I mean, so those are things with leg kicks. Sure, they can't stand, but it's going to take 5 or 6, maybe even more than that. Not all the time. but it's gonna, guys have learned to condition their thighs. Your calf is something like, I don't know if you can condition that because it's just bone. It really is.
There's not a whole lot of muscle on it.
There's a little bit of muscle and there's bone and just, ugh. I mean, I was practicing that before I fought Patricky because I knew he had like kind of like skinny calves. And so I was like, all right, this is cool. I'm going to just kick the calf. I was training with Thomas DeAnge and a bunch of other good like kickboxers and boxers. And they were like, after 3 or 4, they're like, yeah, don't kick me there anymore. Like they had to turn their shin guard out because they're like, don't kick me there. They'd switch their stances. I'm like, all right, this shit's going to work. And then Patricky hits you and it's all over. It's fucking, you're like, damn, shit didn't work. But you know what I mean? It's just one of those, the sport's going to keep evolving. Like you said, for years, guys used to try to avoid being taken down against the fence. And now guys put their back to the fence to get back up. So there's a bunch of different ways on how this game has evolved. For a while, Anderson Silva's up kick to the face was pretty, active in the sport, Machida did it a couple times. Anderson, he's done it. Like there's just things that evolve and like people start using those type of kicks and different types of martial arts to make the game evolve. And this is something that I swear the first time I've ever seen that calf kick was from George Masvidal. And Masvidal to me was using it in Strikeforce years and years ago and was having a lot of success with it. He didn't use it as much as he probably could have now the way you guys are using it now. But he was just sweeping people right off their feet with that thing, and it was good. It was effective then and it's still effective now. I think it's changing the game. It really has.
Oh, it's definitely changed things up. It's effective.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at it and they go, oh, that's not that really, I really don't like when they do it. It's like, yeah, you don't like what they do it because it doesn't look like anything. But man, you're seeing guys get their legs chopped out from underneath them to the point they can't stand up. Well, you take someone's base away, they're done as a fighter. So it's effective. And it's going to continue on in the sport until someone figures out a good way to make someone pay for utilizing that kick. And it's going to be a while before someone does.
Let me ask you this. Like, how do you feel about that, the front thigh kick or to the knee? Like the John Jones, that, the Jackson Winkle John.
The oblique?
Yeah, but it's really to the knee. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's really to the knee. And now you have Darren Till from that happening to him. I guess he tore his knee. He'll be out for a year. We won't see him.
You mean the same way that he did it when he fought Stephen Thompson?
I don't know. Did he do that?
Yeah, Stephen Thompson had the same thing from fighting Darren Till when that happened.
So
same as Whitaker, who did it to Till, had that problem when he fought Yoel Romero the first time.
Interesting. I mean, like you're taking these guys' careers and making them shorter.
Okay, all right.
Safety.
Here's the difference. No, stop.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just, I'll base this on fact. Is that leg kick, is there a possibility of someone damaging a knee based upon that kick? Yes. No doubt about it. Okay. Is there a possibility of me damaging your brain by kicking or punching you in the face?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So which is more dangerous?
Maybe not this brain, but yeah.
This is where people lose it when they sit there and they go, oh, that should be illegal. No, that is a technique. It's a viable technique. You see it done all the time. And I mean, you can go back to UFC 1.
Mm-hmm.
That technique was used. It was used by Royce because he used to do it all the time. When I trained with him, he used to do it to me all the time. And I figured out pretty quick what to do to stop the effectiveness of it. But when you look and you say, we're going to take away that kick. All right. Is that kick more dangerous than me heel kicking you to the head? No, it's not. Okay. The heel kick to the head is way more dangerous, but we're going to allow that and say no to this kick to the leg. It just doesn't make sense when you're talking about what is dangerous to the fighter, what's dangerous to their health, what's more dangerous to their health. It doesn't make sense to say, oh, that is what I'm going to make illegal. That's part of the problem when we have things like, oh, no downward elbow strike. Oh my God, it's so dangerous. No, it's not. But it's a stupid rule because it protects very little. There are more dangerous techniques that we allow, but we're going to say that that's the one that we're going to say is a foul.
I guess for me, I mean, I feel like you're stuck in the 50s with the reffing and judging, which is why you're this way with the rules system. Like for me, I want to evolve. I want to evolve, like kind of how the NFL has kind of evolved a little bit on how safety of hitting the people in the head when they're not looking, or
they have Taekwondo tournaments. You can enter any one of them you want.
I'm just simply saying that I think for the longevity of making sure we don't lose top talented fighters to a knee injury for a year, maybe longer, maybe not. I mean, whatever it is.
So you're not worried about losing that top talented fighter to concussion, but you're worried about losing him to the knee.
Yeah, because there's no real way to defend that knee strike.
Are you kidding me? Did you really just say that?
Yeah, it's not really like, it's not one of those.
There's really no way to defend me punching you in the head. There's really no way for you to defend me kicking you to the head. There's really no way for you to defend me kneeing you to the head.
Not really. No, my point is that it's a strike that, look, I would hate for someone like, look, if I kicked you in the head in the fight game, if I kicked you in the head and I knocked you out, crowd would go crazy. It's for the fans. If I kick you in the knee and you drop and the fight's over, everyone's like, oh, that kind of sucks. That's kind of the way.
Which one sucks more for me?
Who are you? Are you the one that got dropped by the knee or the?
I got dropped by both, man. I got dropped by both. So which one sucks more for me?
Well, it depends.
Which one sucks? Which one sucks more for my health? Which one sucks more for my longevity?
Well, I mean, like for you, there's not a whole lot between the ears, so we're not really doing a whole lot of damage.
Not a whole that okay. Stay
with me.
Stay with me. But you cannot sit there and say that that's more dangerous than what we allow. And look at fighting is dangerous. We know that. I've never sat there and lied about it. You know what? Getting in a fight, no matter if it's mixed martial arts or boxing, hey, you're taking a risk. Every time that you stepped into that cage or into a ring, you were taking a risk, but you knew about it. To sit there and say, I didn't know
I understand
I could be hurt.
Yeah.
Come on. You can be hurt.
I guess what I'm doing is I'm going through this and I'm like, I would hate to see a fight end by that because it's not very.
How many have you seen end by it?
I don't know.
There you go.
I think there's been a couple, hasn't there?
Really? Name it. Come on. Putting you on the spot now. Yeah, exactly. I can name one.
Okay, go ahead. Name one.
No, I'm not going to.
Come on, name one.
No, I don't want to.
Jerk.
But that's the whole point is it doesn't. Yeah, we have had guys that later on we go, I had to have I got a meniscus tear from it. I got an MCL injury from it. Okay. You might have had that injury before too. I'm not saying you did, maybe you didn't, but we don't have fights stopped off of that technique.
Why don't we have kneeing to the head on the ground?
We don't have that. We used to, in the UFC, we used to do it.
Well, Pride did it too.
And Pride did it. And when we did the unified rules, it was a battle as far as what was going to take precedence and stuff. And one of the things that they watched Mark Coleman. You watch Mark Coleman with knees against certain guys on the ground, and they said, we can't have that. But the real fight that did it, there was a doctor, his name's Dom Coletta, and there was a fight between a guy named Brad Gabriel and Gan McGee. Brad Gable, 6'1", about 210, maybe 15 pounds. Gan McGee at the time, 6'11".
Yeah.
And at the time that he fought Brad, he was about 330, 325 pounds.
Big guy.
Big dude. And Gan McGee gets into a north-south with Brad Gabriel, and he starts bringing his leg up, about 6 feet into the air and then slamming it down into Brad Gabriel. And that was the very first show that was ever done in the state of New Jersey. And with that fight, we got several rules. One was no knees to the head of a grounded fighter based upon that one fight. The doctor, the ringside physician, and the guy who was in charge of the athletic commission at the time, Larry Hazard, he said, no, we're not allowing that. Not going to allow it. I saw that. I'm not going to allow it. And there was just no way to fight through it. So that became one of the rules. And it's never going to change. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people sit there and say, oh, we need to bring it. It will never change. You will never get that as a legal technique in MMA in North America. Not going to happen.
That's so strange to me. Yeah, I think it would make the fights more fun.
Well, look, it's going to open, everything opens. Anytime you have more techniques, you open up the fight more because you can't stay in positions that, protect you because of a rule. They don't protect you because of your skill. You can look and, go to Ryzen, who still uses in certain fights the old pride rules, and they allow knees to the head of a grounded fighter. And the fighters don't have a problem with it. They learn how to deal with it, but you need to understand, hey, I can be hit here, so I can't put myself in the same situations or the same positions based upon that technique being allowed in that promotion.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that fully. I feel like there's a lot more action and movement when you take elbows away on the ground because it creates more space.
Nope.
Creates more space to sit up and punch.
It's nice to say, but it's just not a true fact.
How is that?
Okay, because again, you're taking away a technique that I can use to do damage to you in positions. And so now you can grab wrist, and I can, take you to certain fights where a guy will grab wrist and you'll have a fighter that can't get his wrist free. And instead of just taking and rolling his arm over and taking and wham, hitting him with an elbow as he rolls it through, now he's stuck where he can't do anything to fight. Uriah Faber fought Mike Brown twice. Uriah Faber lost both of those fights. And in the second fight, he actually broke both hands.
Yeah, I remember that.
In that fight. But he was still in the fight throwing elbows at times. Now, not so much on the ground as much as, he would have liked because he couldn't get Mike down. But go back to Mike Kyle against Bigfoot Silva. Mike Kyle hits Bigfoot Silva with a huge right hand and breaks his hand when he does it. Puts him down, right? And then jumps on top of him and starts hammer fisting him with his left hand and breaks his other hand and ends up getting put into guard because I was the referee. I didn't stop the fight. It gets put into guard and he starts headbutting Bigfoot into the chest with his head. And I said, stop using your head as a striking instrument, Mike. You can't do that. And he goes, John, what do you want me to do? I broke both of my hands. I don't know what to do because he couldn't elbow either.
Because Strikeforce had no elbows.
Strikeforce had no elbows. So anytime you're taking away techniques, you're taking away the ability for offense to be done.
Yeah, I never thought about in terms of like if the guys had broken both their hands, what do they do on the ground? I never thought about it that way. That's true. I always looked at it. I felt like Strikeforce, the reason why they had such good fights was because when they did get to top position, they had to create more space to throw more punches on the ground. So that gave the person on bottom a better opportunity to get back to his feet.
That's what it did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It made someone, when they wanted to hit with power, they had to create space. They had to posture. They had to try to give space. And when you give space, tight closeness equals control. Space equals escape. You're giving someone that ability to possibly get away from you in that position. And that can open the fights if the person is going to try to land a shot with power.
Yeah.
But that didn't always happen.
Yeah, I felt like it was the fights were a lot more entertaining on the ground than at the time with the UFC because the UFC that was during that era of Sean Shirk of just holding people down and short elbows. A couple other guys were doing it as well. Hughes went through a phase with that as well. Like there was guys that there wasn't a lot of action at the time because of the elbows. Just people would just hold and just go, and just drop the little tiny elbows. And it was like, and the UFC at the time was getting murdered because these guys were champions. You have Shirk as a champion. You've got, other guys that are champions. I think Joe Daddy used to do it as well. He was pretty good on the top position, grappling wise. I mean, he would do the same thing, short little elbows, nasty ground and pounder. But at the time, these guys are real prominent fighters and champions, and their fights end up being sometimes boring. And people continue to say like, oh well, Strikeforce has the better fights because when it hits the ground. We also had just to be honest, we also had a different canvas. The canvas was a vinyl. And so guys, when they got sweaty, they would slide 3 feet, So when a guy when a guy fell into someone's guard, it was hard for them to hold them down until they got them to the fence because the guy put his foot. If I put my feet on your hips,
like wrangling an earthworm.
If I put my feet on your hips and kicked you away, I would slide probably 4 or 5 feet away from you, and you would go back a foot or two. So I had a good 6 foot or 7 foot away from you by just putting my feet on your hips and kicking you back. So I just enjoyed the fact that during that time there was no elbow strikes, so there was a lot more action involved on the ground. There was a lot more submission attempts. Because there was more space, and more space means you're able to get back to your feet, or you're able to attack more submissions, with more space. So to me, that was always what I thought. But you brought up a good point. I never would have thought about the two broken hands. I never would have thought of that.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. Obviously, it does. Poor Mike Kyle.
Oh, dude.
Poor Mike Kyle.
It's one of those. He looks up at me and he goes, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Man, I don't know. I didn't know." Very seldom will I say I don't have an answer for something. I had no answer. Dude,
nothing I can do. Let him up. Oh, try and push kick him. Suck it up. Throw big punches with it. And hope for the best. Hope you get him out of there. There was a young kid on there. Let me see if I can check the prelims here. I think his last name was Martinez. He had a really nice fight.
Martinez against Frankie Saenz?
Yes. Yeah. He looked really good. Martinez looked really good.
I felt bad for Frankie.
Yeah.
But Martinez came in way overweight.
That's what I heard. What, 4 pounds?
Yep, 4.5.
That's a lot.
Okay.
Almost like you're just like, I got my weight down.
You.
The weight cutting issue is going to always be an issue. We just got to figure out where to draw the line. When does the fighter, when does the promotion say, hey, 5 pounds is too much because you're going to gain back, 15 or maybe even more. 5 pounds, if you're overweight by 5 pounds, that's too much. 1 or 2 is, I think that's kind of should be like the last 2 pounds is always the hardest. So understanding that you didn't make it by 2 pounds, I get it. You get into 4, 5, and 6, it's almost like you didn't even fucking try.
Oh, come on. 4, 5, and 6. We've had ones a lot more than that.
I know this. What was the kid with Mohegan? He's really good kickboxer you were talking about, 11 pounds overweight.
We've had more than that. That was Robin van Rosmullen. But we had one, I think one, the most I've ever known was 27 pounds.
Jesus.
Come on. That's multiple weight classes. That's awesome. Ryan Couture was going to fight in Bellator, and it was down in Texas. I want to say McAllen, Texas, right near the border, Hidalgo. And his opponent came in 17 pounds overweight. And he was going to fight him. It was Bellator that said, no, that fight's off. We'll pay you. This guy's out.
Yeah.
It was, come on, 17 pounds. What are you doing? You're not trying. You're not being professional, and you shouldn't be a professional fighter if that's what you're doing. Because you're screwing over somebody else who has trained hard to try to compete against you. So it's not funny.
So I wanted to talk to you because you just talked about, okay, this person's getting paid. This person, when do you call it off? There was what was the fight? It was supposed to be the first fight on the main card. I can't remember their names. The guy fainted in the back and knocked it.
I want to say Trevin Giles?
Giles versus, because they took it off the.
Yeah, that was against
tonight.
Yeah, it was tonight. They took it off the thing.
Kevin Holland.
Oh, so Holland versus Giles. Yeah. And then what Giles passed out, getting ready to walk out he passed out. Does Holland still get paid his show money because he made weight?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, he's ready to fight.
Yeah.
The question will be, does Giles get it? And probably the UFC is going to pay him his money because it wasn't something that he did.
Mm-hmm.
It was obviously something, within him, but he didn't want to pass out. And he's saying, I will fight. And it's now the medical staff saying, no, you will not. And there's reasons why they won't let you fight at that time. And it's all understandable. And it was exactly what I knew would happen when they said he passed out. I go, that fight's off.
Yeah.
But yeah. Can't have
man. I want to run back to the main event in Shahbazyan and Brunson. Did you think it? And look, and I'm not saying it was. I think it was, and I'm not saying it was, but then I just turned around and said I think it was. I think it was an early stoppage, but I do understand there was no
absolutely not.
There was no reason for the fight to keep going on.
Absolutely not.
Sorry, guys, we were having some technical difficulties, so we jumped back on, and John and I were talking about the Shahbazyan stoppage with Herb, and and the difference between that and the Jai fight.
Jai versus Trinaldo.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me, I was only making a little bit of a comparison on the fact that I'm not trying to take a dig at Herb. It's just last week, he was getting criticized for it being stopped too late, and mainly by Dan Hardy. And this week, he's, for me, it looked like he played a little bit safer. I understand why. Shahbazyan was not going to do anything in the next, 2 or 3 minutes or 4 minutes of the fight. So it was better for him to stop the fight. And I agree with the stoppage. I'm in my mind, though, I'm thinking people at home are probably thinking he stopped this fight early because of last week and all the criticism he got throughout the week. I know refs don't really think that way because you don't think that way. So
nope.
You're like, yeah, I don't really give a shit.
I can guarantee that Herb cares not what the fans are thinking. He's going to do what he believes is the right thing at the right time. And, the whole thing with the Jai Herbert fight, he was in that fight. He was actually winning that fight when he got hit.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that has some play into when a referee is going to stop the fight. If you're in a fight where you are getting your ass handed to you and you go down in that fashion, the referee is kind of looking for a reason to get you out of the fight, and he's going to get you out fast. But when you are actually winning the fight, they're going to try to give you as much rope as they can, and the water start to flow over your head and let you drown a little to try to come back into it, because guys do it all the time. Here's the thing that Dan Hardy's not thinking about, that Herb has to deal with. Every referee has to deal with. It's easy to sit on the outside and say, stop the fight.
Yeah. Because
as soon as you say stop the fight on the outside, and then the fighter swings around, grabs a leg, and he's in the fight, you go, oh, maybe not. Okay, let the fight go on. It didn't affect anything.
Yeah.
The referee, when he stops the fight, the fucking fight's over.
Yeah.
Okay. And if he makes a mistake in that, he's the one responsible. So he goes through certain mechanics, that we call them, that tells him, this is what I'm going to do. Since I've learned this over time, I have this situation and I see someone go down. When Herb saw Jai go down, he runs over there. The one thing that I will tell you, everyone's sitting there saying he was out. He was never out. All right. Never was out. Was he, as we would say, discombobulated? Yes. No doubt about it. He got hurt by that shot that hit him in the head. But if you look at his eye, that you can see it looking straight up at his opponent. And his head is kind of turned. So he's got his eye looking up, and that's what Herb sees. And he pulls his leg up and he's got his hands in this position. So is he in a position to defend himself? Yes. That's why Herb let it go. Now, there are people that'll sit there and say, oh, well, he let him take 4 shots. I want you to go back and watch. I'm not saying
I'm gonna now, because you got me interested.
Y'all, please.
Intrigued.
Go back and he took the shots. As soon as Herb stops the fight, for a guy that was knocked out and there was so much bad things, I want you to see how fast Jai turns and is on his knees getting up. That doesn't happen when guys are out. It doesn't happen when guys are seriously rocked. Okay, he got hurt and he was recovering, and Herb was trying to see if he could make it through it. And then you had that instance where Trinaldo was not throwing, which was giving time to Jai to actually recover without bad things happening to him. So that helped him. But Herb then stops it. it's a choice, and it's a decision that Herb made. And I'm going to defend what Herb did because I've seen him do it too many times in the same fashion, and people haven't had a problem with it. Where the problem occurred is not so much in Dan Hardy or Paul Felder commenting on the stoppage, not liking the stoppage. That's okay. That's their job. I don't have a problem with that. It's an opinion, and we all have opinions. All right. And most of them are, same. We all have assholes. We all have opinions. Same thing. But it's where Dan lost it is he became emotionally involved in it. And he did go and started to talk with Herb. Now, I'm not saying that was all his fault either. I'm sure Herb had a couple of words to say, Dan, and that just brought it forward on him. But, it's something that you can't have. I thought Dana came out just a couple days ago and basically told his employees, don't do that. And he's right. It's the whole scenario. You're going to have referees can't fight back. All right. Because as soon as you fight back, you're going to lose your job. Just telling you.
Yeah. Mark
Goddard, did you see what just happened in Abu Dhabi? He was still, from Fight Island.
I saw that.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened? Did you see Mark Goddard, who is, look at Mark Goddard is a righteous black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Mark Goddard was a righteous MMA fighter. Mark Goddard can fight. Okay. I've been around Mark, doing all kinds of stuff. The guy knows what he's doing, and he's got a 145-pound featherweight that he could pick up and drop on his fucking head if he wanted. Okay. But he can't do that when the guy is grabbing and stuff. So he does what he should do. The guy did not let go of a chokehold.
Yeah.
He then puts his hands on Goddard when Goddard is separating him, saying, hey, what do you think you're doing? And he has a guy that just basically got a tap out and lost the fight because he DQ'd him. The exact thing that he should have done.
Got it. Okay.
This happens, all the time. Fighters sometimes get in a position they'll lose it a little bit. I think that kid lost it a little bit. And it was immature. It was the wrong thing, and he's going to pay the price by he lost a fight that he actually won.
That's what's crazy. I don't get.
But the referees don't get to fight back. When Dominic Cruz says Keith Peterson smells like cigarettes and alcohol, how many times did you hear a response from Keith Peterson? How many responses did you hear?
Yeah, none.
0. Why?
I feel the same way though about Herb when he wrote his response. I'm like, why? There was no reason for him to respond to Dan Hardy, and he never mentioned Dan by name.
You're right. He shouldn't respond.
I was just like, what's the point?
At that, we've had this conversation.
Yes, we have.
About certain situations. Like, dude, there's no point. Let it go. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Go. All right. And Herb should not have responded, and that's it. But after a while, you get tired of it because look, and this is where, Dan Hardy, I love as a commentator. I think he's a great fight analyst. I liked him when he was a fighter. I think he is super knowledgeable. I think he is passionate, and I love everything about him when it comes to that. But for Dan to think that he can do Herb's job, he could do it on what we call an easy fight. It could be a great fight, but it's an easy fight because not bad things are happening. But as soon as he needs to make decisions and bad things are occurring in the fight, Dan's not going to know what to do. It doesn't matter that he's fought. If I sit here and say, Josh, do me a favor, just tell me, what are the fouls in MMA? What are they? You were a professional fighter for how many fights?
A lot, probably like close to 40 something.
40 some fights. So tell me, what are the fouls in MMA?
Well, there's no fish hooking, no eye gouging.
Okay, you got 2.
No growing shots.
You, brother.
No growing shots. No headbutts. Okay. No headbutts.
Okay, or no striking with the head of any kind. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's what I meant.
You got it. You're good.
Let's see. Dare I say no eye gouging, no fish?
You already said no.
Those are kind of only ones I really know about, man.
Okay.
No biting, obviously. No.
No biting. No biting and no spitting is combined because it used to be 2 and now it's just 1. So no biting, no spitting.
Can you tickle?
Yes, you can tickle. I get asked that stupid question all the time.
I've always wanted.
But you cannot. You can tickle, but you cannot claw or pinch and twist the skin or flesh.
You cannot grab the trachea. You can grab the neck as a whole, but you cannot grab this part.
No throat strikes or grabbing of the trachea.
Yes.
No fingers outstretched towards the fighter's eyes. No pointed downward elbow strikes. No spiking of your opponent. No strikes to the back of the head. No small joint manipulation. No holding onto the fence. No stomping of a grounded opponent. Do you understand what's going on here? No kneeing or kicking of a grounded opponent. These are all things that I can sit here and name off every one of them. Boom, 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 boom. It's my world.
Yeah.
You work in that same world as the fighter, same as Dan Hardy does, and Dan Hardy can't name those off. But Herb can, because he has to work within them. And when it gets into the things that you are thinking about, we've already been there, done it, and know the answer. So it's just,
the hardest part for me, I think, as a fighter, and that it would be for Dan and probably for a lot of other athletes as well, is to basically go in there and try and do things at speed, at fight speed. As a referee, it just wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same. Like, it's no different than trying to catch a pass interference, in the NFL as a referee, trying to run down the field with these guys that are running, 4 2s and 4 3s, and here you are at 40 and 30 and 40 years old. Yeah,
trying to chuck down.
You're trying to chuck down the field and catch up to these guys and see the foul and the penalty at game speed. It's just way different. I understand what you're getting at. I understand where you're going with this. All right, so you don't need to lead us all the way there because I'm going to bring us home. But I get it. I understand. But I do understand Dan's passion for for fighters being injured and hurt. With Herb, he shouldn't have done his video. That was one.
No.
He should have just left it alone.
I agree.
Who cares?
I agree. Should have left it.
Dana's already brought up, the fact that it can't happen anymore. Won't happen again.
Good.
And I hope Dan still has his job. I didn't know.
But what happens when, because Dana said that, and I totally appreciate the fact that he said, hey, no employee, and that's including fighters. So what happens when one of his stars does it?
What do you mean? Does what? That yells at a fight, yells? Like what? Who?
No, not yells. I think he'd be okay with a fighter yelling. What about puts his hands on the referee? What about kicks the referee?
Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't Conor do it to Goddard already?
That was in Bellator though, right?
That was in Bellator. That was a totally different situation.
Yeah.
But it's that type of situation you can sit there and say, all right, he made that statement and I appreciate it. But I do know that if one of his stars does it, all of a sudden he's not going to fire him on the spot. Just not going to happen.
I hope he didn't fire Dan, did he?
No. In fact, he said from this point forward, and they said, have you talked to Dan Hardy? He says, I'm talking to him right now. Yeah. And I thought that was good. Hey, I'm talking, bro, we can't have that again. And I think that was the right way of dealing with it. I believe he's right in saying, hey, I'm not going to get rid of Dan Hardy for what was a passionate
for caring about somebody else.
But then when you look at his breakdown and his hour-long post, childish.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Was it? It was hour long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jeez, man, that sucks. I hate to see that.
It was a breakdown of Herb Dean's fights, and has Herb made mistakes as a referee? Yes, absolutely. Has he had some fights where you go, he should have stopped that? Yes. Okay, all of us, everyone. A referee is human. You're asking them to be perfect all the time. That's okay. You can ask that of them, but they're not going to attain that. It's not going to happen. They try, but they're going to make mistakes. They are human. As long as the mistake is within that realm of reasonableness, you got to let it go.
Yeah, you said this to me a while back, and we were talking about this, and I was like, "Oh, John knows so much." I was reading the comment section on YouTube, and they're like, "John knows this, John knows that," but you were right. What you said was, "Josh, there's 15 fights on a card, and I'll ref like 7 or 8 of them, or whatever, 6 or 7 of them, right? You're fighting one fight. Like as a fighter, we're only on the card, and we're only on there for one fight. There's 14 other fights in some of the Bellator shows. There's 22 fights on a card."
Yep.
Like, and you're refereeing probably 10 or 11 of those. So you're dealing with the experience of being a ref for that, for all these fights. The fighters also a lot better than we know them, even if we do train with them. You still probably know them better of what their tendencies are in the cage versus actually in training, which are different. The tendencies will be different.
Totally.
All those things being said, I mean, it really just comes down to like, you're going to, with all the matches that you've done or all the matches that Herb's done, he's going to have fuck ups.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt about it.
You're going to. You're going to have mistakes.
And I guess I didn't see Dan's reply with the video. I heard his first response, which was very classy, the way he did it.
I had no response for the first thing he did.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
I don't know. I didn't hear the second one. And I went through and I listened to Herb's response, and the whole time it said that count came across a little childish also, like didn't mention his name, kind of like deflected and saying, I don't know who said it. I get it. that made it sound bad. I mean, like you kind of understand if you work those shows enough, it's the same people, their voices when they yell, like you have an idea. So
you not only have an idea, you have a knowledge.
Yeah.
You know exactly who that is.
And so that came across a little childish, like didn't want to take responsibility. That kind of bugged me a little bit, and then you guys come out and tell me that Dan came out with a reply that is not good, but I don't know. I'm kind of going to always lean towards the side of the fighter. Just me.
That's all right.
Just me.
It's all good. But it is when, just like what you're saying, Dan probably had, I don't know, maybe 35 to 40 professional fights.
Yeah.
You got to figure how many times what's the most you ever fought in a year?
I want to say I fought 6 times in 1 year.
That's a lot, man. That's, every other month. That's good. So Herb was right with me. We were the 2 busiest guys there were out there. And I would do between 105 to 115 shows a year. Okay. You got to figure that's more than 2 a week. All right.
Wow.
And some of those are 10 fights. Some of those are 22 fights.
Jesus.
On one of those. So the experience of doing things over and over, you build a way of doing it, and there's a reason behind it, even if someone doesn't understand.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there was a lot of nut shots tonight, by the way.
Boy, I'll tell you, man, there was a lot of cup checks.
A lot of them.
I think Paul Felder was counting. It was like 11. He said
that's crazy.
That's a lot.
Crazy. A couple of them though landed on the side, and I know that it looked like it kind of hit the cup, and it did sound like it did. I think maybe it just grazed, but like when you go back and watch the video, it didn't look like it actually made contact. It just kind of hit off to the side.
That's exactly what you said, and this is one of the things that people don't get. Referees here, the one thing that you're seeing out of all the fights that are being done now with no crowds is you're actually getting to hear a lot of the things that you normally don't hear.
Yeah.
Okay. But as the referee, you're hearing all those things all the time.
So
and one of the things is you hear a cup get hit. You'll hear it. Sometimes you don't see it, but you'll hear it because it makes a distinctive sound. And so that knowledge is why all of a sudden you'll say, how did he even see that? It's because he heard it. And so many times it doesn't look like something's hitting. Matt Brown fought Robbie Lawler, and I did that fight, and Matt brings a front kick up, and it was that the front kick is coming up, and he does land it with his foot into Robbie's abdomen, but as it's coming up, it hits Robbie clearly in the cup. I mean, you could hear it. Joe Rogan later, he says, oh, no, that's a good shot. And all the people in the audience are like, oh, boo, right? No, he got hit in the groin by the foot as it's coming up. Happens, but you do hear things, and that's a lot of the knowledge that you get.
All right, so let's jump on to Dana came out with talking about Khabib. He might be okay with it being GSP, his last fight.
Yeah, but they announced the actual fight, don't you? Gaethje and Khabib is October 24th.
October.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. What I'm saying though is,
but he said that if Khabib beats Gaethje,
yes, he
would be open to Khabib versus GSP, since that was, as he's saying it, the fight that Khabib's father always wanted.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
That I think
Let me hear
that. I think it's a fucking fabulous fight.
Not if you're GSP who just said, "No, I'm retired. I'm done."
I don't think he'd be done. I think he'd come back for that fight.
He might.
I think he would. I think they would line his pockets enough to where he'd.
They're gonna have to.
Yeah, and I also think that it would be the biggest fight in combat sports history. I think
no.
I think it'll do close to 5 million views.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
The reason being, I'm telling you right. I mean, like, I really honestly believe it'll do those kind of numbers. His star power is.
Hold on. Stop.
Yeah.
When you say 5 million, first off, there's already been 6 million.
Oh, has there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's not the biggest in combat then. Okay. I thought
to make sure.
I thought the biggest was 4.5 or almost 5.
No.
Who was
million.
6? Who was
Pacquiao and Mayweather was right at 6.
Was it?
When you're going worldwide.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
I didn't know that.
You're saying that worldwide pay-per-views would be somewhere around 5 million?
I think so. I think they'll break Mayweather McGregor. So let's just say what's that? That was at 4 point. What was that? 4.2. That was 4.2.
Right in there, yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll break that. I think also too, because it depends on when it happens, but we'll still be kind of in this COVID moment. And I feel like I think it's gonna have to happen. It's gonna have to happen before Ramadan next year. So it's gonna happen within this next 6 to 8 months. He's gonna fight October. He'll fight again. He normally likes to fight sometime around October and November, and then he likes to fight again right after January, like February, March. So right before Ramadan, then he's gone.
Ramadan, so he can actually not have to train and not eat.
Yes. Yeah. So I really believe if they're going to do that fight, they're going to do it sometime within the next 6 months. And then that'll be it, man. We won't see him anymore. He'll be done.
You think at 30-0, that's it?
100%.
If he gets 30-0.
I interviewed him when I had Sammy the Punk podcast. We had him on twice, and I talked to him, and I trained with him for years, and we've talked a lot. His life dream was for him his dad's dream was for him to fight GSP, but not just that, but he had talked about and broke it all down about how his whole goal was to leave undefeated. That's one, was to possibly fight at 170 and maybe win a title there. If that doesn't happen, that's fine. But he was to finish undefeated, but also was to leave right around the time Islam Makhachev was to be champion. So he wants Islam to have one more fight in the top 5 or 6, and then he's going to defend his title against Gaethje. They're on the same card, by the way. So that fight will happen. He'll fight somebody. Islam will fight somebody probably in that top 6, 7, 8 range, and then he'll fight GSP, and probably Islam will be on that card again. And then he'll vacate and retire, and you'll see Islam in that top echelon of guys to be.
Well, he might not be vacating, baby.
I think he will.
He might not be vacating.
What do you mean?
GSP could beat him.
Oh, that's true. But GSP will vacate.
GSP
will vacate. He'll vacate.
Bless him, man. A guy that people don't remember fighting in MMA, Andre Galvao.
Yeah.
Okay. He fought in Strikeforce.
Yep.
And you can take a look, and that's as good as a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner as you will find.
He's all right.
But I think as an MMA fighter, probably like 5 or 6-2. Mm-hmm. I know he lost to Tyron Woodley in Strikeforce, due to punches. I know he lost a decision to Jason High, a guy you would never think.
Yeah.
But Jason had wrestling ability that kept him on his feet for a lot of the fight. So just because you got that BJJ world champion status doesn't mean it's going to transfer over all the time. But it can.
The other thing as well, he's good at no-gi, but he's not as good at no-gi as he is at gi.
No, gi is his thing.
Yeah, we've seen him, don't get me wrong, he's still good at no-gi, but it's different level also too when you're getting punched in the face. Like Ryan Gordon is really good in no-gi, not as good in gi. Still trains in a gi, but he's just not as good in the no-gi or in the gi position, in the gi.
Which tells you what?
It doesn't really tell me.
I always look at it a certain way.
What's that?
Guys that are really good in the gi are technicians.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that are really good no gi are athletes. Better athletes usually in the no gi than the guys that are the champions in the gi. Because the gi's a slower game. technically you have to be better at certain things because you have to be able to get past someone holding on to certain things that are actually not part of your body. But I don't know, the no-gi game now, better athletes.
I just look at Buchecha and he's enormous for the weight, but he only looks like, he looks like he's probably like 300 pounds, but he's not. He's probably walks around about 235, 240.
Yeah, if that.
If that, but he's been training here with DC at DC's house, at gym, or DC's garage or house, whatever, where he's been doing his camp at. And I got to tell you, man, he is huge compared to DC. Huge. And so when
everyone's huge compared to DC in height.
I agree, but like physically just as a big guy. We've seen some guys that are just big. Mark Kerr, big guy. There's guys that are just big in stature.
Mark Kerr was a monster.
Yes. You know what I mean? So you have guys that are just big in stature, and he's one of those guys. Athletically, he's good. I've trained and rolled with him a couple times. He is an athlete. I'm not
saying he's not.
Yeah.
I'm saying usually the better athletes are the no-gi guys.
Yeah.
Where the gi guys, better technicians usually. I don't know.
Well, anyways, it'll be nice to see how he ends up going over there. I'm hoping they build him a little bit. They don't throw him to the wolves, after like 2 or 3 fights. I hope they build him, 4 or 5 fights.
They've been doing that with Gary Tonin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
there comes that point where you got to swim.
Yeah, that's true. They also signed Yuri Simone. Yeah. They signed him. They signed Buchecha. Now they've got, like you said, they got Gary Tonin. They've got. I can see them trying to lean towards that way and not just making it all about the Muay Thai guys. So I'm interested to see what they do. They have a show coming up. I think I don't know if it's this weekend or if it is this weekend or next weekend, but they have a show coming up as well. So we'll see.
We will.
All right, guys. Hey, sorry we had some technical difficulties. I don't know how it's going to all play out on the edits and the cuts, if Dave does his job. So
our man podcast Dave will be busy putting this one together
since
we have a lot of malfunction.
Yeah, I think one of the HDMI cables is bad, so we got to figure that out and get it sorted out. So
at least hopefully you won't be like the still picture, or I won't be the still picture for this one. I'm actually talking to somebody instead of this smiling.
Yeah,
Josh Thompson.
Well, we won't know until the edits and cuts are done whether I'm still or not. But even if I am still, we got a lot of people were actually happy with the fact that I was still from last week. So, all right. Well, hey, I'll see you on when do you get in? Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
All right, I'll see you Tuesday night. I land at like 11, I think, at night. Or I land at 10:30, but I won't get to the hotel until.
Remember the plan.
Yes.
Remember the plan. You don't remember it.
No, I don't. Get the food and go to the room. Oh yeah, you're gonna get beer. You're gonna get beers for us.
Hey, beer and pizza, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, we got our lunch boxes and everything. We're gonna go right to perfect. I remember the plan now. I remember the plan.
Yeah, after we tell you.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, nice to chat with you about this fights. We will. I will see you on Tuesday night. You guys hit the subscribe button. YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play. Let's try and get our audios up too. So if you follow us on YouTube, please hit up all the audio platforms as well. Hit that thumbs up on the YouTube. That shares our videos to everyone else. And let everybody else know that you enjoyed our videos. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening to us. And please share our stuff as much as possible. We appreciate you and thank you. We're out.
Truly appreciate almost at 60,000 subscriptions.
Yeah.
Keep going.